Hi everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of Dogman Encounters Radio. I'm Vic Cundiff and I'll be your host for the show. If you've had a Dogman encounter of your own and would like to speak with me whether in private or on the show, please go to dogmenencounters.com and submit a report. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to help support the show by becoming a premium member, please go to dogmenencounters.com/podcast to sign up. Memberships are only $2.99 a month. By becoming a premium member, you'll be able to download episodes onto your mobile device and listen to them commercial-free wherever you go. Also, if you'd like to check out the new Dogman Encounters t-shirt store, please go to dogmenencounters.com/store and take a look around. Buying a t-shirt or sweatshirt there is another great way to help support the show. As always, thanks for listening. Alright, let's bring on tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Marvin Allen. Marvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How you doing, Vic?
I'm doing great, but more importantly, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, considering, it could be better, but I had no complaints.
Oh, no, I understand. Marvin, please give us a brief bio on yourself.
Well, 49 years old. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I work down at the docks part-time. In my spare time, I like to read. I like to study. Sometimes I go hiking. I love fishing. That's about it.
Well, nothing wrong with that. When was the first time in your life you heard the term Dogman?
First time in my life that I heard Dogman, I would say about 5 to 10 years ago.
5 to 10 years. What did you think when you heard about them?
Well, when I first heard about it, it can't be no such thing as a upright walking canine. I always heard about Bigfoot because we had sightings up in here in Maryland, but as far as the Dogman, no.
Well, I can understand you feeling that way, yeah. Until you're initiated, until you hear about all the people who see them and listen to how sincere they are when they talk about their experiences, it's only natural to be really skeptical about the possibility they exist. But they do, as you know now, they're definitely real.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, unfortunately. Now that you've seen one, what do you think Dogmen are?
I do believe that they are a flesh-breathing animal. I don't think that they are some kind of entity or something that was created by the government, because if you go back to the Egyptians, far as the dog-headed man, far as Anubis, that tells you that they had to be around a long, long time.
Oh yeah, you know that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they've been around longer than we have. We'll never know, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. You think your mother had some Dogman encounters when she was young. What'd she tell you about those experiences?
Well, right before my mother died, even though I was still a young teenager, my mother told us that she used to encounter these things coming from school each day. One day, when she was coming home from school, because my grandmother, which is her mother, owned a lot of property and a lot of land, and she had to take a walk through the woods to get to my grandmother's house. And she said this one particular day, when she was walking and going home, she said that she could hear something like it was walking behind her. So when she turned around, she said she seen this black dove, but it was on all fours. But she said that it looked kind of funny. And she said when she would turn around and stop, she said that this dog would stop. So she would turn around and keep on walking up the path, that leads to my grandmother's house. And she said when she would walk about 20, 30 more feet, the thing would still follow her. So she would turn around again, it would stop, and it would still be on all fours. So she turned around, walked up faster. Now at this time, she said she was probably like 20, 25 feet from the house, maybe less than that. And she said she turned around and she said that this thing stood up on two legs. Now, from what she said, how it looked like, because it was so long ago, she said it had the head of a dove. She could see the ears sitting straight up. She said it had long arms and it had human-like hands. So as she watching this creature, she was walking backwards, because she said she was real scared, because she was born and raised in the country and she never seen nothing like this. So as she walking backwards, she starts to scream. And while she's screaming, her mother, which is my grandmother, she runs out the house. And she said that this dog dropped down to all fours, turned around and ran back down the path on the left-hand side through the tree line. You know, and she ran home and went in the house. She told her mother what she saw. And her mother said, "You sure you saw a dog stand up?" And my mother was telling her, yes, mommy, I saw a dog stand up on two legs. Now, mind you, my mother was born and raised in the country all her life. And she said on numerous occasions she would see this cryptid. One time she said it seemed like every time she seen it walk, it seemed like it would get bigger. I didn't know what she meant by that, but she said it would seem like it would get bigger when it walked. I guess it's being slumped over or what, but she said she ran into those things quite often coming home from school. I don't know why she waited so long to tell us about this. We used to watch scary shows all the time because I always liked Wolfman and stories like that. And one day she just sat down and she just told us about it. I don't know if it was a warning to let us know what she saw and what was roaming the woods of North Carolina down there, but I don't know why she kept it in all those years.
Yeah, maybe she didn't feel you're ready to know about it yet. It's hard to say. Did she ever tell you if the creature responded in any of the ways besides when it dropped back down onto all fours?
No, she didn't, Vic. But I asked her, why did the thing follow you home from school on numerous occasions? And she said she never know, because my mother was Cherokee Indian. Now, not far from my grandmother's house and her property, it's a grave site where a lot of my family is out there buried on our property. So I don't know if that's a reason why they hung around there a lot or not. But my mother was Cherokee Indian. So I don't know if that had something to do with it.
Well, it might be all of the above. We'll never know. Last month you had an encounter of your own. Please tell us about it. Give us every last detail that comes to mind.
Well, my encounter happened on February the 19th. Me and my cousin, we were sitting in the house looking at TV, you know, just like any other day. So she get a call from her daughter, you know, and her daughter asked her if she could come and bring her some food. So she said, okay, we'll be there. So we got up to leave out the house, get in the car. So we drive. So we stopped to get her food. So as we driving out to where her daughter worked, because her daughter works out in the country, you know, so it ain't like it's no house here, then right next to it, it's another house. It's just all open woods. So as we driving, I said, I'm going to look to see if I can see some deer. So as I'm looking, because going to the job, I'm on the right-hand side, right there with the tree line and stuff. So while we driving, I'm looking, but I don't see no deer. But I do see cows, horses, and stuff like that, because I guess there's someone out there that own a farm or something. And I guess the cows was out there, you know, grazing or just walking around. So we driving, I'm still looking, I don't see nothing. So we get out to her job, we go in, we take the food to her. So we sat in there for a few, you know, just to talk to her, ask her, you know, how her day was going. She said it was going okay. So me and my cousin said, All right, then we'll just see you, when you get off of work. So we leave. So we driving back. I'm still looking, but in my mind, I was like, man, I ain't gonna see no deers. But I'm still looking because I want to see a deer. So as we driving, going back, now we on the opposite side. Now about 20, 25 feet up across from where the cows was grazing at, it's like an opening, like where they cut some trees down, but it's still surrounded by trees, but it's just an opening right there. And about 20, 25, 30, 40 feet, we driving down, I see a black figure. But at first, I'm thinking it's like a stump. And I look, and what I see, it looked like a dog. But I'm saying in my mind, this can't be no dog. And it seemed like everything just slowed down because we wasn't going fast. We was only doing probably I'm going to say 20, no more than 25 miles an hour. Now, the first thing that came out was the head of this thing. The head on this thing was huge. And it had a long snout. Now, it's like facing on the other side of the tree line over there where the cows was at. Now, as we driving and we get, a little closer, I can see more details of this creature. I see the arm. The arms is long. I mean, they long. I could see that this thing had shoulders. I didn't see the hands. I didn't see the feet. I didn't see the tail. So we riding a little more. Now I can see the front of this cryptid. The shoulders was massive. It was all black, but in the front, it had like a streak coming down, like from his shoulder down to the chest on both sides. I don't know if it was white or I don't know if it was gray. Now, mind you, Vic, this encounter happened 2:00 in the afternoon. This was a sunny day. So as I'm looking at this cryptid in the front, I'm trying to get all the details that I can, because soon we're going to bypass this creature. I could see the chest. The chest looked like a bodybuilder. Now, this creature was squatting down. I don't know if it was sitting down like on his hocks or it was just kneeling. But the way it was sitting, it was holding his arms like out in the front with his hands hanging down. But I didn't see the hands because it was a little brush right there in front of it. But it was massive. That's when I knew point blank that this was no dove. Like I said, the ears was pointed straight up. It had a long snout. I couldn't see the eye color because of the light. And this was 2:00 in the afternoon. But it was all black. Now, the hair on this creature, the fur, whatever they got, it looked like it was shiny, like the tips of it, like the tips of the hair, like it was shiny, like it was silver or gray or whitish color. But it looked like it was really, like it was really groomed. And on the side, which I think of now, it looked like some of the hair on the face was like if you would take a comb and like brush out, you could see it sticking out on the side and right at the tip of the head, right where the forehead would be. So I'm studying looking at this, this creature, and we still riding slow because I can't believe what I'm seeing. Now I'm saying these things is real. And the position that it was sitting in, I'm trying to figure how tall it was, just the position that it was in, 4 to 4.5 feet tall. Now, at the time that we going back home, we out in the country. So it ain't like it's a lot of traffic coming back and forth. We the only cars that's traveling down, going back towards my cousin's house. And I didn't say nothing to my cousin at the time because she driving. And I didn't want her to turn and look and see this thing and wind up getting into a wreck or something. So we driving, like I said, everything just slow. It's like it just slowed down. And I'm looking at this thing, but the whole time it's looking over in the direction of these cows. So I don't know if it was stalking the cows, but it never turned and looked in our direction. It just stayed stern on the other side. But I'm still looking at it as we going past it. My head's turning around just watching this thing. But it's just focused on the other side. This thing head was so big, it looked like it would make 2.5 to 3.5 size of a human head. It was humongous. So after we get home, I asked my cousin. She said, "Why did you cuss in the car saying what the, And I said, "I seen a Dogman out in the field when we was coming home." She said, "Why you didn't say nothing?" I said, "Because you was driving and I didn't want you to turn and look at it and wreck or something." So the next day, she said, "We're going to drive out there." But mind you, it rained the next day. It didn't rain hard, but it did drizzle a little bit, so the ground got wet. I wanted to go back to make sure that what I saw was a real flesh-breathing creature, and it wasn't a stump. So a couple days later, we go back out there. Now, mind you, from the spot that I seen it, it's not that far from the road. So we walks over there, because I said I wanted to see if I see some tracks or something. But I didn't see no tracks. The spot that it was in wasn't no stump there. The brush was there that it was, kneeling down in front of. The brush was there. Now I'm trying to get the measurement of this cryptid. So I asked my cousin to stand in that spot. So while she's standing in that spot, I'm trying to get a measurement of how tall it would be just kneeling down in the position that it was. And so where the ears was that I seen it, because it wasn't like it standing stooping straight up. It had like a little slope to it, far as in the front. Now, from where the ears at, it came up to like where her breast was. And my cousin is like 5'5" or 5'6". So that's where it was kneeling. So I don't know how tall this thing would have been if it stood up on twos. Now, right there where this creature was, about 15 feet behind it, that's where the tree line started at, from where they cut the trees out in that little spot. So we walked back there. Now, about 40 feet back, it's like a little pond back there. So it is water back there. So I don't know if they thriving out there by the water and the deers across the cows across the street. But that's my encounter, Vic.
Have you had problems with nightmares or any other negative effects because of seeing it that day?
Well, the first couple of days after I saw that, I was laying in the bed because I was still in North Carolina, and we lived like in a apartment complex, and I was walking from the bathroom one night, and I had looked out the window, and I looked out the window, and it's like I saw the shape, the head, and everything of this creature on the outside of the window. And it really startled me. I don't know if it was in my mind or nothing, because it's no tree right there. So it ain't that stuff they call when you look at a tree and it might have a shape or something. But I seen that figure, what I seen from the side. I seen the ear, I seen the snout, and all that. But I did have dreams about the first week about this thing. I thought that I could take it and it wouldn't bother me. But yeah, it had messed with me. It had.
Oh, I can tell. Yeah, that sort of thing isn't easy to deal with. I guess you'll never really know for sure how you're going to respond until at least a little bit of time has gone by. You might think you'll be able to brush it off, but sometimes in a couple of days it really hits you.
You're right, because after I learned about them, I always was planning, I want to see one of them. You know, I want me a pup and everything. You don't want to see one of them. You don't want no pup. You don't want nothing. But these things are real. They are real. And they are scary.
Yes, they are. All the above. How much harder do you think your sighting would have been to deal with if it had looked at you?
Oh, Vic, I don't know. I probably would have lost it. I probably would have lost it, because some people say them things follow you home. So I don't know if it would have looked at me. I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad my cousin didn't look. I'm glad I didn't say nothing at the time.
Yeah, I'm glad too it didn't look at you. There are other people you know of who seem to have had encounters of their own as well. Please tell us about their experiences.
Well, the first one I'm going to tell you about is the guy Dave. And he's the guy that do work on my niece's house. So one day he was in the house. I was sitting in there, you know, studying, doing my Dogman stuff. And he asked, "What you doing?" I was like, "Nothing. I just like to study this stuff right here." I didn't tell him what. So my sister like nudged me, and she said, ask him about it. I said, "No, I'm not going to ask him that." So she said that, "Do you believe in cryptids?" And he said, "Which one?" She said, "Dogman." He said, "Yes, I do." He said, "I had a sighting. If you have time, I'll tell you about it." I said, "Well, we're not doing nothing, you know. I would love to hear about it." Now, he said that in Fayetteville, like on the outskirts of the county, he used to go out there, go fishing, and go hunting all the time. So he said one day he went fishing, and he told his father. His father said that he would meet him down there. So he said he get there. Now, mind you, before you come in, it's a trail that leads down to this lake. On the opposite side, it's a parking lot when you can park at. So he gets down there. He meets up with his father. So he tell his father he gonna take the boat and go up to the other end. So his father said, "Okay, I'll be up there in a few." So he takes the boat and he goes up to the other end, which would be northbound. So he said he get up there. He turns off his boat because he got like a little motorboat. Now, mind you, this is a nice sized lake. It's pretty big. So he gets up there. He put his bait on, you know, everything as usual. He throw his rod, the reel in the water, and he starts to fish. Now, he said about after 5 or 10 minutes fishing, he hears something on the opposite side of the tree line, which his boat is facing northbound. So that would be to his left. He hears something on the opposite side of the tree line. He can hear like sticks breaking, and and like something's walking. But he's saying that this whatever was walking, it was walking like it was bipedal. But he looks over, he calls out to his father, Dad, Dad. He gets no response. So he pays it no attention. He continues to fish. So after a few more minutes, he hear this thing walking again. But now it's coming around, like it's coming around the lake. So he get a funny feeling. It's like somebody's watching him. So he yells out again, Dad, Dad. He still don't get no response. So he continued to fish. It's coming around. He can still hear the steps walking through the woods. He hear the trees and the little twigs on the ground. He hear them breaking. He said this thing was heavy because he could hear the footprints. Now he said he got a feeling like something is stalking him. He said he never had this feeling ever in his life. And he said he'd been fishing at this lake for years. So this thing is still walking, coming all the way around to his right on the side, the right-hand side. Now, mind you, this is closer to where he got his boat at. So this thing is coming around again. So he called out again, Dad, Dad. He still don't get no answer, Vic. So he continued to fish. Now he got something. He caught a fish. He reeling it in. He gets the fish up. Now we say when he turns around, he got the fish, to show his dad. And he say, Dad, look. And when he turns around, he said he seen something that shouldn't exist. He said about, 25 to 30 feet, because the shoreline wasn't that far from where he was at on his boat. He see this thing step out from behind a tree. He got one arm on the tree, the other arm is down. He said this thing looked like a giant wolf standing on two legs, bipedal. He said it had pointy ears. It had a huge head. Now, by this time, it's daybreak, but he could see this thing. He could see this thing clearly. He see the long arms. He said this thing had shoulders. It had muscles. He didn't see the feet. He said it was all black. The eyes, I think he said the eyes was amber on this cryptid. But he said it just stood there and it just stared at him. It was just basically looking at him. He started his boat up because he said the boat he had wasn't that big. He started it up and he said he got out of there. Now, this is a spot that he said he used to fish all his life ever since he was a little boy. And he said he hasn't been back to that spot since. Now, this is the guy that said he knew a lot of people that had sightings in North Carolina. And this is the one that had been getting me these sightings because of a lot of the guys that he hang with, because they got like a little club, fishing and hunting club. Whenever hunting season come in, that they usually go together. But he know a lot of people done had sightings down there, and he's been really good to get me these sightings from people. The only thing that he said they don't want is for people coming down there on their property, knowing the right spot where they live at, with cameras and, guns, and putting up trail cams and all that stuff, and causing a lot of problems. So I told him, I said, I'll make sure that I don't give exactly this place where the sightings have taken place. But, yeah, that's his encounter. Now, this encounter happened in Cheraw, South Carolina. And the year was 2000, around 9 o'clock. And this lady, well, I'm not going to use her real name. This lady, I'll just call her Kathy because she older now. And this is her encounter. She said that she come from a good family, church going background. She was the youngest of three. Her oldest two sisters had moved out, and out where she stay at, it's like her house and about another 3 miles, there's another house. So it ain't like they had next door neighbors. And she said that her parents was real strict. She had to come in before it got dark and everything. So she was really upset because she couldn't come out and play with her friends until it got dark and everything. Now, she said that every night she used to look out her back window because they live in the back where the woods at. They just surrounded by woods, but just outside her back door, about 25 feet, is where the tree line start at. And she said every night, it's like clockwork, she would see the deers come down and go through her yard. Now, they had these floodlights out back, so she would watch them every night. But she said this particular night, she was waiting to see the deers. She said they never showed up. So she said, I'm going to wait for about another 15 minutes to see if I see them. So they never showed up. So she said she went out in the hallway to look in her mother room to see what they was doing. Now, her mother and father was laying in bed watching TV. So she said, I'm going to just go for a walk and to see if I could see any. Now, mind you, she said that she have did this on numerous occasions and nothing never came of it because she never got caught. But she grabs a flashlight. She goes out and she's saying in her mind, I'm going to just walk just a little bit up in the trail to see if I see any deers. So when she gets to the edge of the tree line, she said that she noticed something that she never noticed before. She said it was dead silent. She said she didn't hear none of the animals that she hear at night, like the crickets and the bugs and stuff like that. But she said she didn't even pay it no mind. So she said she started walking. Now, she said after she walked maybe 5 minutes, she stopped because on the left-hand side up in the tree line, she said she heard a tree break, like something would snap a branch in half, crack. So she shined a flashlight, but she don't see nothing. So she continued to walk, but she walking real slow. She said she wasn't walking fast. So she heard again, rustling in the bush. She heard another crack. So this time she shines the flashlight over there again. Now, this part, and this is her words, when she shined the flashlight over there, she said she seen what looked like was a wolf. She said when she shined this light in this thing's face, this is what really messed her head up. She said this thing raised it. She said it was an arm. Raised it up and put what looked like was a human hand, but she said it was huge, and it blocked the light. So by her being scared, she put the light back down, like towards her, like in front of her. And she looked over there. Now, the moon was out, and she could still see the silhouette, but she see these yellow, huge eyes, and it's staring right at her. She don't put the light back on, and she said this thing walks. It walks out to the trail. But the whole time it's walking, it got those yellow eyes on her. So she said she's still looking at this thing. It gets into the middle of the trail. She put the light back on it again. That's when she said she got a real good look at this thing. Now, I wrote it down. She said that this thing was all black. She said it had long arms. She could see the hands. And she said she seen what looked like black nails. She said that this thing did have a bushy tail, And I asked her how long it was. She said, I don't know, but I know it had a bushy tail. She could see the legs. She said the legs was built funny, like it was backwards or something. She said the head was huge. Now, I said, how tall you think it was? She said, this thing was 2.5 for me. At that time, she said she was like 4'11". So she said she took the light and took it off of it. She said when she took the light off of it, this thing started walking towards her. Now, she walking backwards, but she said this thing taking huge steps. Couldn't be no more than, I'm guessing, she said 20, 25 feet, because like I said, this happened a long time ago. She said, but what was so strange about it, when she put the light back on it, it would stop. It just stopped. She said it wouldn't move no more. So she kept the light on this thing. She was walking backwards, looking back, walking backwards. So she said she gets about 5 feet from the edge of the tree line. Now, mind you, her house is right there. It's not that far from the tree line. So she said she gets right there. When she put the light back on it, it stops again. Then she said this thing starts to growl at her. It was like a low, gruntle growl. She said, but it made her chest feel funny. She said she kept the light on it, and it's like she couldn't move then. So that's when she heard her mother come out and call her name. And when she did that, she said she closed her eyes and screamed real loud, but she still got the light in front of her on this creature. After she finished screaming, she looked up. All she said that she could just hear this thing running through the tree line like it wasn't nothing, breaking sticks, knocking over small trees and stuff like that. She turned around and ran. Went in the house, and her mother said, what did I tell you about going outside at night? And she said, Ma, I saw a werewolf. And her mother said, ain't no werewolves out there. Go up to your room. You punished. And she tried to tell her parents, what she saw was real. So she said her family still owns that property, but she don't even go back there to this day. Now, this encounter happened in Richmond County. And this encounter happened last year, 2017, around August. This guy named, which I'm going to use as Jake, people own property out in the country in Richmond County. And he said he used to walk his dogs every day behind their house. It's a trail back there that leads down to this pond. And he used to, take the dogs down there every day. So this one day, he got up and said, well, I'm going to take the dogs out for a walk. So as he walked and he's going down through the trail, the dogs running around, playing, having fun, do what dogs do. So when he gets down to this little pond, he sees tracks. But what he see, he know that they are dog footprints. But he said, come on, these prints is way too big to be a dog. So he took one of his pit's feet and put inside this other one. And he said that it just made his dog print look like a marble. That's how big and huge he said this was. And he said it ain't no bad because ain't no bads down here. So they circled the pond, went around, came back, and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take them back home. I'm going to feed them and everything, and water. I'm going to call it a night. So he goes back, take them home. Like I said, fed them, gave them water, and he went in the house. So he said when he in the house, the dogs, they start barking. So he looks out the window because he's sleeping in the back. He looks out the window, and he see them. Now, they barking at something in back of the house up in the tree line because where the woods start at behind their house is real, real close. So he hits the floodlights because He had the little light on, but he turned them floodlights on because that lights it up. So he looks, he don't see nothing, so he don't know what they barking at. So he goes back in, sit down, he's looking at TV. They starts it up again. He goes back and look at it. So he's like, man, what is these dumb dogs barking at? So he looking in the direction where they looking at, but he don't see nothing. So he's like, dumb dog. So he goes back, in the room, look at TV again. So about 5-10 minutes pass, he said they started up barking again. So he goes downstairs, goes out the back door, and he looks. Now, he say this time he can see a silhouette of something. He see a silhouette of something standing up in the tree line. But he don't know what it is. So he don't pay no attention. He goes back in the house. They barking again, Vic. And they barking loud this time. So he goes out back again. Now he said he looked. He said he see something. He said this thing had amber orange eyes, whatever it was, and it was standing up. But he only see the silhouette. So he goes in the house. He grabs his gun. He comes back out. He said he sees something come out of the tree line down by maybe about 10 feet from his dogs. He said this thing was walking on 2 legs. Now he get a good look at it. He said it looked like a black wolf. And it's just standing there, but he got the gun in his hand. So I'm asking him, I'm saying, well, can you tell me how it looked? He said it looked like a wolf. It had a big head. He said it had long arms. He could see the ears sticking up. He said it had a snout. He couldn't see no tail. He couldn't see the feet. But he said that the shoulders on it was huge. He didn't see no claws. And then he said that this thing started growling in the direction towards other dogs. Now the dogs, all them tucked their tail between their legs, he said, and ran in their lower house. So he thinking in his mind now, should I shoot? But I don't know what this thing is. So he said he shoot a warning shot. Boom! He shoots in the air. But this thing just standing there. So he said he shoots again. Boom! And it's still standing there. Then he said all of a sudden, it started coming towards him. I think he said it took like 2 steps, but they was huge steps. So he said he shoot again, but he shoot by the dirt. Boom! He said you could see the dirt jump up out the ground. So he got his back door open. He backs in his door, goes in the house. He shut it. He's looking out the window, he said he still see the creature there. So after about, it couldn't have been that long, he said he was staring at it. He said he looking at this creature. The creature starts backing up, drops on all fours, and run back up in the tree line. So now he thinking, okay, this thing gone. He don't know what made it turn around and run and go back in the tree line. But he said he went in the house. He goes in the house and lays down. He go to sleep. So he wakes up the next day. When he goes out there, all his dogs are dead. Like something pulled the head off. Something pulled the back, like where the butt at, pulled that off, tore the arms off and everything, the legs, and scattered it all over his yard. It was a trail leading all the way up to the tree line where you can find dog body parts. Now, he calls the police. They comes out there. He telling them what happened. He say, man, a werewolf ate my dogs. He said, man, police telling him, they laughing and chuckling like it's a dope joke. Now, this guy's crying because he mad, because they don't believe nothing. So they saying, man, it's no werewolves down here. It was a bear. He said, man, it's not no bear. Y'all know ain't no bears down here in this area. He said, go down there by that little pond down there and look at them big dog prints down there. So they put in the paper that local family owners' dogs got killed by a bear. And he was really mad about that because they covered that up and didn't tell the truth. My son had a sighting this year too, and this happened in Greensboro, North Carolina. My son had went to see his son, take him out for him to play, get him something to eat. So after my son did that, he was on his way home. And as my son driving, he's out in the country. Now, this road is black. It's no lights or nothing like that. Only thing you can see is when the light hit the reflectors that's on the ground. So he said when he's driving, he said he pulls over, and he pulls over on the side because he had got a message or something on his phone. He started texting. Now, he got the window rolled down on the passenger side. So he said he can hear something up on the tree line making noise, like something walking and breaking sticks. So he said he looks up, he see this shape of something tall and black. He can see the ears on this thing, and he can see a snout. So he say, he looking at it because he can't believe what it is. He said, man, that can't be no man because it's too tall and too huge. So he started driving. Now, as he driving, this thing's moving with him. 20. This thing's running, keeping up with him. 25. 30. This thing is keeping up with him, running through the tree line. You can hear the trees and stuff breaking. It seemed like the faster he got, the faster this creature got. And he got up to like 50, 60. This thing kept up with him all the way up to that time. And then he said he started flooring it, and you could constantly see this creature just backing off from him. But he said this thing, he said it was huge. He said it couldn't have been no human because a human don't have dug ears and no snout. So that was basically his account. It was a short one. This happened in Richmond County too. He said one night when he was driving, he said this gate was about 15 to 25 feet tall. And he said he seen something all black climbing this gate. And he said, it's like he said it pulled up on the gate 2 to 3 times and it was over on the other side. But he said it was all black. He said it looked like a canine, but it wasn't small. He said this thing was huge. And I'm saying to myself, well, son, I'm not saying that a regular dog can't climb a gate, but he said this thing was grasping it like it had hands when it climbed that gate and went over. And when it went over on the other side, he said he just seen it run on all fours. But he said it was even big on all fours. It wasn't no ordinary dog. And he said it ran, when he seen it run, it had like a slope run to it. It didn't run normal like a normal dog. But that was a small sighting that he had too, in Richmond County. I had another sighting. This is the Durham, North Carolina sighting. The guy David got me in contact with this lady, and I'm going to use her name, Felicia. One day, Felicia said that she had went out with friends to have a drink, and get something to eat. So she said after they finished eating and drinking, everybody said their goodbyes. So she said she headed home. Now, the road that she said she was traveling on, it's only a one lane. You only can go one way. And all the way on the opposite side, that's when you can go the other way. But that's like 3 miles over. So she said as she was driving home, because this road is dark, it's no light. She said as she's driving home, about 25 feet in front of her, she see this deer dart out from the left to the right. So she pushes on the brakes. Now she stopped and she just stood there. She said she didn't move because she didn't know if any more deers was going to come out and she didn't want to have no accident. Now, she rolls her window down, she said, on her side just to get some air because it was nice that night. So she said she just sitting there. So she said all of a sudden, she said she had got this bad odor, like it was something dead out there. So on the left of her, about 15, 20 feet up, she said she heard something walking through the tree line. She could hear sticks and branches breaking and everything. So she said after about 5 minutes, this creature walks out. At first she thought it was a dog because it walks out on all fours. But she said it was funny built to be a regular dog because the back was low and up by the head was high. But she said it was just huge up top. So she said this thing is stopped in the middle of that one lane, which it ain't that big anyway, but it's a nice size, she said. And she said she heard this cracking sound. And she said what messed her head up is she looking at this thing, and it's like it stretched its leg, she said. One. And then it stretched the other one. She said, and this thing stood up. And when it stood up, she said it stood up like it had no problem standing up on two legs. And when it stood up, she said it held its nose in the air and it started like it was sniffing something. Then it turned around. That's when she saw them amber orange eyes. She said that she wanted to scream, but she didn't know what this thing was, so she didn't. Said this thing turned around. She said this thing was huge. She said this thing was huge, bitch. She said she never been so scared in her life. So when this thing turned around, I'm asking her, can you give me details about what it looked like? She said, from what I can remember and what I seen is that the head of it looked like the head on a dog she used to have, which was a German Shepherd. She said it had a head like that, but it was just humongous. It was wide. She said it had ears sticking straight up. It had long arms. She said she could see that what looked like hands, and she could see the claws on it. She said she could see the feet, and it had the legs that was bent back like a dog. She said it did have a tail, but she don't know what far as the color of the tail. She didn't know. But she said this thing was black as night. It's like it was black, like it absorbed the light up of her car, but it was black. She said she could see the teeth because it was like it was getting ready to growl, but it didn't growl. But she did see the teeth. She said she put her car in reverse and continued to back up slow. So as she said, after she backed up about 10 feet, this thing started coming towards her. So she backing up, but it's taking huge steps. So she said she stopped. She said the thing stopped, and it just stared at her. That's when she said this thing growled. And she said when it growled, she said it's like it made her chest numb. Like it just, she could feel it in her chest. She said she continued to back up again. She backed up about 20 feet, she said. It's still walking towards her. She stopped. She said now she's scared. She don't want to move now. She said she don't want to try to run it over because she don't know what's going to happen. So she said after she sat there, she said this thing started sniffing again. Then she said it turned its head quick to the right side of the tree line. She said this thing dropped down on all fours. It took one leap, and it was in the tree line, over the embankment, and in the woods. She said this thing, it did it so fast, she never seen nothing move that fast in her life. She said after being shocked so much and so scared, she said that she waited for about 15, 20 minutes before she left, and she hauled tail. She left. She got out of there. She said she don't take that road no more or nothing. She said she don't even like to go out traveling that night no more.
After an experience like that, I don't blame her. It makes you wonder if maybe there was another Dogman and that's why it turned its head and ran off the way it did.
And Vic, I did ask her that. I said, do you think there could have been more than one of those things out there? She said, to tell you the truth, I really don't know. She said, but it probably was. She said it probably was. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'll bet you there was.
this happened in Scotland County too. And the name I'm gonna use for this lady, I'm gonna say Alice. This was on a weekend, so she said that she would go walking this day. She didn't have her son because her son was over. His grandmother's house would be, her mother. So said she would go walking that day. Now, where she live at, she don't have no neighbors, so the nearest neighbor probably would be 2 miles. So she said that she used to walk this trail all the time. Well, a lot of people used to walk this trail, but she said one day she gets up there, and on the opposite side of where the trail at, it was on the right-hand side is where she would park at. So she parked her car. She only seen one of a car out there one day, and she thought that was kind of strange because it was nice outside, and there used to be more people out there, hiking. So she parked across on the other side. Now, when she gets to the trail, she sees this couple, man and a woman, older couple, coming down. And she spoke, "How you doing?" They spoke back, and the guy was like, "Are you by yourself?" And she said, "Yeah, why?" So his wife said, "Never mind him, don't pay him no attention." She said, "Come on, let's go now. I don't want to be here." So she thought that was strange, so she ain't paying no attention. They left. She continued on her walk. So as she's walking, now this trail goes up, then it bears off to the left, and it's like a round. You will have to go around, then it will go straight again. So she gets around there where it's going straight again, and she stops. Say she stops to take a drink of water. Now, on the right-hand side of her, she says that she sees these 2 deers. She said they just standing there, ears up, looking on the other side. So she looking over there to see what they looking at, but she can't see anything. So she don't pay no attention. So she drinking the water. So she hear this muffling sound in the woods. Looks back over, the deers, they dart. They run diagonal, then turn up and run straight up into the tree line, like up this little hill you would go up. So she looks back over there. Now, it's brush right there, but then there's trees behind it. So when she looks over there, she said she sees a set of ears. She sees 2 ears. Now, mind you, this brush is not small. This brush is like 5 feet, she said, but she could see the ears over top of the brush, not just the tip, but over top of the brush, like she could see almost the whole ear. So she thinking that it's a dog. So she was like, "Why the deers run from a dog? I didn't know dogs chase the deers or nothing like that." She don't pay no attention. So she said she heard a rustling in the bush again. So this time, she said that she heard that cracking sound. Crack, crack. Like it's doing something to stretch his legs. She said it did that, and this thing stood up. She said, now when it stood up, it sniffed the air, and it continued to walk. But it's walking diagonally, so it don't see her yet, she said. So it gets out on the trail. She said when it got on the trail, her phone started to ring. And she was saying in her mind, out of all times, her phone starts to ring. This thing sniffs again, and it turns around quick. Looks dead at her. She said this thing looked like a black wolf. She said this thing was huge. She said it took another step out in the middle of the trail, and it faced her, looking straight at her. She said the eyes was red. I said, "Can you give me all the details of this thing?" She said, "Yes, I'm going to do my best." She said the head, it was just big and wide. She said it had a muzzle, but the muzzle wasn't real long, like a German Shepherd muzzle. She said, but it was still long, and she said it was thick. She said it was thick and it was wide. She said it had shoulders that looked like human shoulders. She could see the chest. She said she seen the six-pack. It had like little ripples in its stomach. She said that she could see it breathe, like it was breathing. You could see the chest going in and out, in and out. She said she seen what looked like to her was hands. But she said there was a mix between human hands and like a raccoon. But she said they was huge. They was big. And she said she seen the claws. She said she don't know how long the claws was. She said, but they was long. She said the thighs on them, she said they was just big, like somebody would work out. She said she seen the feet. They looked like dog feet. And you could see the bent backwards leg that it had. I said, well, what was it doing then? She said nothing. And she said it just stayed there growling at me. I said, well, what color it was? She said it was black, but it had like the color of a wolf would have. Like she said it was either red or a brownish color. And she said it had patches of that on its legs and on its arms, those colors. So she said as she's standing there, she starts to walk backwards. She said when she walked backwards 2 steps, this thing started growling at her. So she's still walking backwards. It's still growling. She stopped, looked at it, it's looking at her. Now she said she's scared out of her mind because she don't know what to do. She don't want to try to use her phone. Even when it rung, she never picked it up. So she said she started backing up again. She said the creature started coming towards her. She said so she was backing up. Now, about 15 feet is when you can come around that curve. She said just then she stopped because she heard somebody. And she said what she heard was, "Miss, are you okay?" She turned around and see, but she didn't see them yet coming around. Then turned back around. She said she could see this thing drop down on all fours and run on the right-hand side through the tree line like it was going in the direction of those deers. Now, she turns back around, start walking down. She meets the couple that she seen leaving. They came back with the sheriff. So when they gets up there to where she at and they meet, the sheriff asks her, "Excuse me, miss, have you seen anything out here strange?" So she said no. So the sheriff said, well, this couple claimed that they saw a werewolf. And I was like, no, all I seen was deers. So he said that, which was the police, I told him they might have seen a bear. And the old man was like, that wasn't no bear. Don't no bear got no head like no dog or wolf. She said in her mind, it's no bears out here. So they left. They get back down, walks on the other side, and the sheriff said, "You sure you okay?" He was like, "Yes, I'm okay." So he leaves. So the old guy say, "Excuse me, miss, why didn't you tell them what you saw?" She said, "They know what's out here. They know what's in these woods. They don't need me to tell them." She said, "Plus, I'm not trying to get caught up in none of that. They're going to ask me if I tell them I seen this. They're going to try to tell me I seen something else." When she said, "I know what I saw. I know what I saw. And what I saw was real." So she said the couple had left and she had left. Like she went to the opposite side, and she said she was thinking while she was driving back home. Now, she said while she was driving, she heard this loud howl. And she said to herself, I wonder if that was that thing that I saw make that noise. So that's her encounter.
You talk about a bad time for your phone to ring.
Yeah, I said that was a bad time. She said that out of all times it would ring because she said it didn't see her. It was just going to go walk on the other side where it saw those deers at. She said out of all times my phone would have to ring. I say, She said she was scared. But I had talking to her again, and she said that she's still having nightmares about what she saw.
Oh, I'm sure she is. Yeah, that experience sounds like it's straight out of a nightmare, so I'm not surprised. Well, we're about out of time. Before we get out of here, do you have any closing comments you'd like to share?
The only thing I like to say is I used to be a non-believer about these cryptids until I had my sightings, and I just want people to know that they're out here. They need to be aware of these cryptids. But like you say, don't go looking for something because you might find something that you don't want to see.
That's right. You know what they say. Be careful about going around shaking trees because you never know when a leopard might fall out of one.
Absolutely. One more thing I wanted to say though, Vic, because I probably talked to Dave this weekend, and he said he should have, as far as the old timers, he said he should have a couple more stories from me. So he trying to get their permission for me to call so I can talk to him, because like I said, the old timers really don't want city folks coming down, snooping around on their property. But he said he knows some of them that had some horrible encounters as far as like where they had to shoot at these things. So I really want to get those stories. That's what he's trying to get from me now. So he said just give him a little time, but call him this weekend and to check.
Well, if you do find out more about those stories, then yeah, please do let me know. I'll bring you back on.
Thank you, and you do a great job of what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I love the show because you got a channel where people can come on there and express themselves. If don't nobody else believe them, you listen to them. You definitely do.
Well, I owe them at least that. Thanks again so much. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. If you've had a Dogman encounter of your own and would like to speak with me, whether in private or on the show, please go to dogmenencounters.com and submit a report. I'd love to hear from you.